Yeah, and you guys can always book one-on-one calls with Ryan afterwards. So today's going to be a little bit different. Ryan's going to take the wheel. He's going to be, really giving his insight as a $35 million a year company and the owner of Sumo Quote. What they're doing differently, how they developed Sumo Quote to really help their business. This one's also a little bit different because we're not giving just a specific slideshow. Ryan's really going to give you guys a deep dive into what he's doing. So, first of all, I want to thank you guys all for your time. We really appreciate you being here today, and I will let Ryan go ahead and be the star of the show today. This is a weird one for me. I'm not the
No, this is great. And we will co-host because the things that we've done and we've built and gone through are all the same types of things that you're able to build with your clients and help support them on and stuff like that. And so, yeah, it's really nice to be able to sort of co-host and run through this stuff. But yeah, thanks, Elizabeth. You were making me blush there. A Sumo Quote one of the favorites out there and stuff like that. But yeah, we wanted you guys today, we wanted to go through something that we could try and make as practical as possible. And so we could try and talk almost more operationally as opposed to going, really philosophical. A lot of the stuff that I talk on out there, sometimes it's very educational and sort of talking about the philosophy behind things, but we wanted to actually show you a lot of things as we went through this to try and give you some really practical ideas on things, whether you use Sumo Quote or not, right? So I will share my screen here and we will dive into it. There we go. So I wanted to start with this one. This is a bunch of what we're going to talk about today. And sorry, I'm just setting up my other screen there. Okay. This is kind of a bunch of, and I'll try not to go too far on the sales philosophy side, but a lot of what we struggle with as roofing contractors, or really what we struggled with as a company, was, we'd grown to being a fairly large company in Alberta here, but we were never going to be the cheapest, and nobody wants to sell in price. We all want to sell in value, right? And it was very difficult for us at the sales stage to really show the homeowner and give them a level of confidence that they're going to get a different type of experience with us. And so we knew we could get you better production, post-production, warranty, all that stuff. We knew we shone in those areas, and it was this whole concept of, okay, as contractors, we're all putting our quote or our presentation or we're creating these experiences for customers, but we kind of felt like it was always looking the same, sounding the same as everybody else around us, right? And so we took this concept of how do we package it, and the packaging, how could that help us stand out? And I'll show you a bunch of different ways that can be used practically. But it's interesting, this image here, right? You've got 7-Up, which in the green bottle, which consumers report the usual lemon lime taste, and then in the yellow bottle they report a more lemony taste. And of course, it's the exact same 7-Up in both. But it just goes to show you, like, presentation and your brand. And Elizabeth, which is why it's perfect for her to be presenting with me today, is a brand expert. And so this whole concept of how you package, like, consumers, it's not just they don't just see it, they can almost taste it, right? They can sense these differences. And so the packaging matters in a big way. And so we'll walk through a bunch of that stuff here today. So I'm going to jump in. And the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to touch on a standard retail estimate. And what we're going to do here is we're going to just talk about how an impressive type of packaging or presentation here can really help you stand out. So one of the things we do.
Can I ask you a question really quick?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so one thing that a lot of people struggle with who do insurance and do retail is thinking that, they don't need this kind of presentation for insurance work. Why would you recommend this for insurance as well? That way, those who are listening who do, because there's a lot of people here in storm markets as well.
Yeah, so on the insurance side, consumers get really suspicious if they sense anything is off with your brand. And so they want to see your website matches, maybe you've got a landing page which directs to a website, which then, they're able to request a quote or a meeting, whatever, an inspection. And then you've got business cards, you've got your vehicle, you've got your logo and branding, like you've got all this stuff. And then all of a sudden they get a quote given to them and it's a 1-page Word document. Or right, like at any point along the way, your brand can fall off a cliff.
Mhm.
And you need to have this consistent brand experience the whole way through. And so that's where homeowners start. You want to show them and demonstrate that, hey, trust us for production because look at this consistency that we've given you every step along the way. And so, yeah, if you're just shoving a legal document in front of them for a contingency, as a homeowner, my feeling of a 2 or 3-page contingency that's just kind of packed with legal
Mhm.
is great. So what you're telling me is I'm screwed because I guarantee every word of that protects you. There's not a single thing that protects me as a homeowner.
Mhm.
So here, actually, let me jump to this. Here's a sample contingency agreement. Now, this is a contingency assuming that the homeowner already has a scope of work, an Xactimate report provided by their insurance company. So maybe it's not a contingency, it's sort of final authorization. But here's where you would go through, you would start to explain to them, here's the process of how we're going to work with you. And you give them something to refer back to, because if you just talk to them from a sales perspective, they're going to forget it and they're not going to be able to tell their spouse. And, so you give them something that they can practically refer to. And then you make sure you build up their confidence that you can be trustworthy and that they can trust you with their home. And you can do cool things in here, like you can embed links behind these so people can click on it and actually watch videos of it and stuff. And then you go through and you might talk about a referral program because their neighbors probably got hit. But again, this is a document they can refer back to, and you're not just relying on their memory and hoping that they can understand it, right? Give them photos, gain that trust more. And here's where we want to get pretty practical with this stuff. The type of wording that I use with our roofing company is something like this, right? So we say, we will complete repairs on your property as laid out in your insurance estimate. Your authorization will apply should the total value change is directed by your adjuster. Supplements, right? The real focus, rather than just putting that legal contract in front of them, and we've got legal pages in here, so it's not to ignore that, but the real focus is, what value are we going to add for your business? So now you start saying, hey, we're going to complete a thorough inspection, noting and documenting everything. We're going to engage with your adjuster to review that. We're going to assist you in advocating for reasonable work not included. And believe me, adjusters are not motivated to include as much as they can. That's where you need an advocate to be able to help you understand all this stuff. So you start focusing on all the value that you're going to provide. Those are the things that really sort of take you and differentiate you from everybody else out there. Now, in this example, I'm putting in the value that was approved by insurance already. And now I can go through, I can sell them upgrades, which is a massive opportunity that most contractors miss out on. We can e-sign, they can select colors and do all that stuff. But the really interesting part that I did with this one, after my terms and conditions, my legal, was I actually stitched in a copy of their actual scope of work from their insurance company. So when I'm saying on that page, we will complete our repairs as laid out in your insurance estimate, I'm actually stitching in a copy of their insurance estimate, and this value of $19,851 here directly links back to my previous page there of the $19,851. And so you can still, at this point of the game, you're still needing to win their trust. You're still needing to get them to sign. You're still wanting to sell them upgrades. You're still wanting to convey confidence and get referrals. Like there's 10 different things that you want to do here in an insurance process, not just sign this legal document and then, the homeowner gets this confusing exact report that doesn't make any sense to them. So yes, there are very practical ways to set your business apart, but also to gain additional revenue, to close and win additional work and do it in insurance markets. So yeah, Elizabeth, that's a good point on the insurance because I know how different the insurance feels from a standard retail.
Yeah, and the thing that I tell people also is just because it's an insurance claim doesn't mean you don't need a sales process. The only thing that's different is how you're getting paid. But there's a couple things you have to make sure you're still doing. You're building value for the client, you're building that relationship, and you're educating them. So just because it's a different form that you're getting paid for the job, if anything, I always say there should be more education in the insurance sales process because it's more scary. You know, with retail, you have financing, it's people, it's the person's responsible, so it's a bigger investment. But with insurance, a lot of times people are not educated on what it's like working with your insurance company to file a claim. So even having parts of your proprietary process throughout the insurance claims process, talking to people, making sure that when you're educating them through your use of Sumo Quote, you're including all that type of content to, number one, make them feel comfortable, and number two, make sure that they have the knowledge. So if there's something that they need to do, if they need to be involved in any step of the way, and of course it varies from state to state, what you guys are doing and what your processes are like, what your permits process are like, if you need a win certificate or not, etc. So as those things vary, why not make sure that no matter whether it's retail or insurance, that you have your sales process really laid out. And that's why I like Sumo Quote, and that's why I advocate for Sumo Quote, because it gives people the opportunity to really think about what are they doing when it comes to sales. And especially those of you who are working with maybe technology that's not as advanced as some of our other programs, Sumo Quote can really be that huge differentiating factor.
Yeah, and you nailed it there. I liked what you said there, just that insurance is really infinitely more complex than retail. Retail, it's just you sign it, great. You start next week, the week after, when are you starting, right? Insurance can drag on. You get public adjusters involved, you get insurance companies and field adjusters and desk adjusters and supplements and all this stuff. It is so much more complex. And typically what most contractors are doing is they're relying on their salesperson to communicate that information,
Mhm.
but homeowners don't remember it, right? So
Mhm.
then what you get is, and all of these things that we put together here, none of them are a mystery. Like, should you explain the value you're bringing? Yeah, of course you should, right? Like, should you show them photos of damage? Yes, of course you should, right? Should you have a referral program and marketing pages and testimonials? Of course you should. We all know that. But we end up sending an email with like 5 or 6 different attachments. And we
Yeah.
hope the homeowner can figure out how to navigate through all those attachments and which ones go where. And when you're making a comment in your email referring to a photo, like it is so confusing how they go through that. And so ultimately you are going to win if you can simplify, make it easy, and create a customer experience for the homeowners, just like, oh, this is a breath of fresh air compared to everybody else out there.
Yeah, Michael has a question for us. He says, do the templates come with the subscription?
Yes, we do have a pile of sample templates and stuff that we include when you start. And if there's anything that you see here today that isn't included in a subscription, signing up to Sumo Quote, it's easy for us to get in there. Now, the marketing pages, these are ones that are custom built. And so these are ones where you would work with Elizabeth and her team to put together pages like this. But these are really powerful differentiators. So I would definitely encourage you to get a few marketing pages included as well. Now, some of those you can just grab out of a brochure. We've all got GAF and Certainteed and Atlas, and they've got so much content out there. So you can actually get some really good content. We've got a lot of that we've already scraped out of their systems. So let us know if you need some of that stuff as well. But yeah, that's those are the types of things that you would want to include and go through with this stuff.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and as far as with when we customize the marketing pages for you guys, what we like to add there, and part of what I said in my previous answer was your proprietary process, what to expect for the homeowner, what are you doing that makes you different besides, just warranty and certifications and a bunch of paperwork. And so we like to take it a step further with you guys. And I think on the next one, we'll actually show you guys one of the Sumo Quote users that we actually customize their full presentation for.
oh, that's awesome. That's good to hear. Hey, remember to invite me to the next one, all right? I want to see that as well. um, hey, I'm going to show you guys a retail one here, and then we'll get into a few more unique things because there's, I know there's sort of the basics of insurance and retail, but then there's some interesting ones on the service side for growing and project summary reports, and there's some interesting things we can do. So this is a retail one, and there's going to be a lot of, this is now standardized. We just used a template for retail rather than explaining insurance details. Now we're explaining a retail process instead. We're going through and, we're pulling out some of these marketing pages that I had mentioned before. This is an interesting one, how to compare contractors and figuring out the ways that your business is differentiated from others. And you guys, Elizabeth has a bunch of our stuff like this. She's got our content. So if you like some of the stuff but want it customized to your own business, give her a shout. She can set you guys up with this stuff. The one I wanted to show you though was this one. And I just wanted to talk around this point of making things visual. Elizabeth was talking about being able to build out the graphics and stuff like that. But I really want to drive home the point of so many of us, what we do is we talk to the homeowner and we give them this type of text here, right? Hey, there's a dead spot behind your chimney. That's a high risk. You don't want water pooling there, but don't worry, we can frame in a cricket and fix that for you. And to a homeowner, you might as well be speaking French. Like it just doesn't, okay, what is all that? I don't understand. There's been a lot of research done out there. And one of the things they've said here is visual content will be comprehended up to 10 times faster than written. And not just comprehended up to 10 times faster, but retained 10 times longer. So when you show homeowner this and your solution of this cricket that you're going to frame in and stuff, they will comprehend this. Like I almost guarantee you they won't even bother reading the notes. They'll just be like, oh yeah, that's bad. Oh, okay, this is good, right? Like if you can make it visual, that's the thing that you want to do and really ends up gaining the trust, but having the homeowner engage. I had one of my sales guys one time. He was meeting with a homeowner and the homeowner had already said, hey, you know what, I'm probably going to go with this other company, but you've already put a quote together. So sure, come sit down with me and I'll take 10, 15 minutes with you. And so he goes and sits down with the guy. And of course, it's one of these guys, he's got a folder of like these printed estimates and stuff. And so the competitor's quote sitting right there on the table and he's looking at it. And the guy is flipping through because our guy printed this out in color to hand it to him because he knew he was sitting down with him. And he's going through it and he was just like, actually, you know what? I'm going to go with you guys. I mean, look at your quote. It's so much more detailed. Now, the interesting thing was the competitor's quote sitting right there. My sales guy actually thought it was more detailed. He thought, but it was obviously built in Excel or Word. It was full of industry jargon. The homeowner, you can imagine, starts reading it and it's just like, ugh, I don't understand this, right? Like, and checks out. They just mentally check out. Whereas you make it visual, easy to understand, bite-sized pieces, and it makes sense. And you win those deals because of how much sense it just makes as they're going through that. So yes, and I know, yeah, that's the side of Sumo Quote helps with a pile of that. But again, that's where our partnership with Business 411 makes a ton of sense because they do so much of that visual graphic design creation. That blend of it together is really powerful. Here, I'll keep going through this. Again, this one we're doing good, better, best. So we're listing, a good package compared to a better package. And in the better, we're not just listing product, we're actually talking about the advantages. We want to, why should they pay a couple $1,000s more? We want to make that clear to them. So we do that. Easy for them to select which package they want and upgrades and stuff like that, and to e-sign it. So that's a retail
stuff. I like about what your package is. I think you went over a little bit more in depth last time, where you're saying that you give them instead of doing like the option of good, better, best alone, you do your one, look, this is the standardized roof, and then these are your upgrades. So that way it's a lot easier for them as well. So I just wanted to touch on that part too, because I really, really liked that. And I mentioned it to a couple people afterwards, and it seemed like it was, just something that was very easy to follow along.
Totally. Yeah. And this one, I showed the good, better, best on the retail just to show that it can do that functionality. But yes, to just have the single quote and then to be able to upsell with our company, we upsell about $1,100 on average on every single job. So you think about those additional upgrades and what that could do for top line revenue. It's now, and the other interesting thing I'll point out, because we want to keep this very practical, when a homeowner is comparing your price, they're comparing the price of your quote to other competitors. And not that we want to be based off of just price, right?
Yeah.
But once they start looking at upgrades, they're no longer comparing you on price, right? Now they've decided to go with you. Now it's just a fact of, can they afford that, or do they want to do that, whatever it is. So your gross margins on your upgrades should be higher than your gross margins on your price. So if you're typically running 35, 40% on your overall job, you should be 45, 50% on your upgrades, I would say, right? That's just it is such a, like, it's not just the additional revenue, it's better margins throughout as well.
I love that, because now once you assume the sale, now you're just adding more value and you're servicing the clients who maybe want to feel, because not everyone is worried about price. There's people who are worried about the quality of the roof that they're going to have. And I feel a lot of times roofing companies get so concerned on, oh, well, this customer just wants the best deal possible. No, you just haven't offered enough value to know what do they really want. And that's why having a system that helps you with your sales process really facilitates increasing not only your sales but also your revenue from each sale, because now you're giving the customer the opportunity to say, I want more from you as my service provider, as the person who's going to work on my roof. This is what I want from you. And you're allowing me as a consumer to feel that I now have the experience that I wanted to get out of this. So that's one reason why I really wanted to, focus in on that a little bit more, because I think it's tremendous value to that. Not only that option with the good, better, best is always great, but with the way that you were doing just, the one standard roof model and then adding all the upgrades, for me personally, as a consumer, that's what I would have preferred.
Totally. Well, and with that, it's funny you mentioned that people want to select these upgrades. I've seen it where we've done two different types of upgraded shingles. So let's say we were doing Malarkey and we did Malarkey Highlander as our base, and then we offered Malarkey Vista as a class 3 and Malarkey Legacy as a class 4. I've seen homeowners check off both of those and everything. They just go through and check off the entire list because they're like, yeah, I want a good roof and system. This is stuff you're recommending, check, 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 check. And they're not even reading it. They're just like, yeah, I want a great roofing package. And like, it's so funny when you go through that stuff and it's like, okay, we technically are not going to install 2 layers of brand new shingles on your roof. Like, so, right. But yes, to your point, Elizabeth, people want this stuff and they're willing to sign off on it. And it just becomes a natural part of the conversation when it's on this page that they're signing. It's like, hey, by the way, we haven't talked about these, but we've got some upgrades here that you could look at, right? And you just, it's sitting there, so you just naturally, steer into that. And yeah, people sign off on it all the time. It's great.
Personally, if I was gonna use someone to buy my roof, so when I bought my car, right, I got all of the upgrades that it came with. I got all the warranties. Whenever I buy anything, I get any extra insurance, anything like that, because I'm more concerned in making sure that any assets that I own are protected and are the best that I can have. And if I'm gonna buy a new roof for my home, where my family is, where all my belongings, where I lay my head every day down to sleep, as someone who's more concerned about value in life than price, I'm going to want to shop that way. So I want you guys to really expand your mind with this and not just think about, we got to give them the best deal possible. We're competing with all the low ballers. That's not just it. You got to learn your consumers. You got to learn how people want to buy. Not everyone cares. Hey, this guy gave me the lowest price. You're only going to get a small portion of the market share with that. And those are not necessarily the customers that you want. You want to be the roofer that's going to really stand out and add more value to every single roof system that you're going to install.
Totally. Yep, totally agree. I've got a couple other ones here I can show. I'm going to hold off on showing those for a few minutes. So these are more project summary and inspection reports and service reports kind of thing. So I'll touch on how those have impacted our business and how we've used them. But I'm just going to jump into Sumo Quote here quickly. And I just want to show you guys how this sort of works. And of course, Elizabeth, we've got new features that we've built that I get to show you on this webinar as well. So every webinar, I get to show Elizabeth something new.
Always. I'm always the last one to know now.
Here, so I'm going to create a new project and I'm going to create it out of our integration with CompanyCam. So I'll just search for a name, an address, whatever, and I'm going to grab that and link that. So what that did is it automatically pulled in the customer information, and we could have manually typed it in, but it also linked our images on this. So here we've got measurements up here. Now these are project measurements, and something we just added here, Elizabeth, was an Eagle View integration. So I could click and order an Eagle View directly through here and get that done, but I'm going to search Eagle View in case I've already ordered this. Oh, and I've got the report there. So I click on that and I just download that and it drops into my account.
That's freaking awesome.
And so now what I do is I just hit apply. And now when I go into these areas, now I've got all of my Eagle View measurements that I've just dropped in there automatically. So
wow.
I'm going to punch in suggested waste. We could do quick square reports. We could do all kinds of that stuff. We can also create, what we're doing here is we've created, it's almost like a scope sheet where just punch in the raw data for all of your quantities or measurements on a job. And then we're going to take care of, the system will take care of converting them to a per piece or per bundle with waste percentages and all that stuff. So here I'm going to punch in, maybe we had 2 standard vents on this one and 2 goosenecks and 3 pipe jacks and a couple of bins. So we can fill this stuff in and hit save. And now up here, we can create a new report. Here, I'll create a new report from scratch. So that's going to create just a blank report, right? And I can go through and on all of these pages, I turn them on, I grab my templates and I drop them in, right? So I'd very just quickly and easily say, yep, this is going to be a retail one, or this is going to be an insurance one. And it just customizes it that quickly. We can go do in here, we can do inspection photos, and maybe I want to grab, I don't know, a couple of photos on here, and insert those. And then in Sumo Quote, what we can actually do is not just the photos here, but I'm going to click on this and I can zoom in on this and I can move this around, right? And I can go in here and I can actually mark this up as well. So I'm going to use red and, maybe I'll use an arrow here. And we're talking about this here, and, or we can put in circles around things and do all this stuff. So easy, like this should not be difficult to show the homeowner what's going on in their house. And then we just make notes beside it as we go here. Yeah, the quote details. Now here's the interesting part. I'm going to go to my templates here, and I'm going to use just my standard roofing template. But it all dropped in my quantities here. So rather than going through all my pages and turning this on, I'm going to actually choose a whole different layout, because you can create these pages. You can preset your marketing pages. You can preset your text. You can preset all of your details. So if I apply this to a retail roofing layout, it automatically turns on all of my pages. It automatically gives me my quantities. If I go to my synthetic underlay, it shows me how this stuff is being calculated. And all of this stuff is just instantly done.
Michael said that roof looks brutal.
Well, that's why we're fixing it, right? But I mean, you can, these things, when you've got these measurements you apply to a layout, it's just instant for how it built. And you can do it right off your phone. You could be literally on your roof, punching in the quantities, applying it to a layout, and walking down and presenting to a homeowner, 60 seconds later.
I think he's gonna like that a lot as well, because he's actually very, very tech savvy, and he's custom built his own pricing calculator and everything. Like, he's one of probably the most tech savvy clients that I have. So I hope you're getting a kick out of this one, Michael.
Well, yeah, I mean, but this is how life should work, right? It should just be easy. You should just punch in the numbers and it should auto calculate. And so we've got we can go into, I won't get deep into the complexity here, but in our price list, we can go in and in our calculation, it's almost like you're using Excel. So rather than going, B3 and C18, you're using your tokens of total roof area and suggested waste percentage, and you're building this stuff out. And then you just go in here and test it, right? And run it through here. So it's just really fast as you go through all of this stuff.
Spreadsheets and formulas, that's music to his ears. He's very happy.
Well, yes. So So yeah, I mean, we know that we've all fought with Excel for years, right? So we wanted to build it with a structure that was based off of the concepts, but was all just intuitive, and you could add it yourself and build it yourself, but using the ways that you should be thinking about it, where you want to take the total roof area and add a waste percentage, and it goes through. So um, here, a couple of things I wanted to talk about here. One was in sort of there's the inspection reports. And of course, I'll show you here quickly. All of these pages that we're using, you just toggle them on and off. So if you want to include an inspection report, toggle it on. Maybe you don't want to use a quote, so you toggle these pages off. Like maybe you're just giving an actual inspection report for a condo. So you're just toggling pages on and off, and you can customize any of this stuff as you're going. And right, so it's all just customizable and editable and easy to use and really fast. But what I wanted to show you was, here's one of the ways that we've used this with our company to really grow our service division. And our service division, last year we did about $2.5 million worth of service work. And that service work, you're not bidding at 30 points. Like that's 50, 60 points gross margin stuff, right? So,
Thank you so much for talking about a service division. Guys, everyone that's on this call, please really listen into this and listen to the importance of it. And listen to what Ryan just said at the margins that his service division is running. Service is your way to get in the door, whether it's residential, whether it's commercial. Service is keen. Everyone wants to get good service. So I'm sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
No. I appreciate you nailing that, because yeah, so many contractors, it can be a hassle, and you want to think about service different than just a full replacement. Having said that, you just need to create a slightly different process around it. And once you create a slightly different process and you can execute on that, like the sky's the limit on it. And the 2.5 million, I mean, that's the actual service work we did. That doesn't include all of the large multifamily projects and flat roofing projects that we won because our service division was so good, all of the additional revenue that we won off of that service work as well. So that's where, again, you get into the millions with that stuff when you really start looking at that. But here's what we do. So we did a bunch of service work on this building. At the end of the job, we gave a project summary report. So if I go through this, we're explaining to the board the repairs that we completed, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, here's what we did. But then we're retitling the inspection page project photos, and we're showing them step by step how we completed those repairs, right? So here was the issue, right? Your dryer vents weren't venting properly. Here's the damage it was doing, right? Big fire hazard building up behind your siding. Here's how we corrected that for you. And we go through and we pick these things, the issue, the damage it was causing. Like we did about 250 man hours on this job. We're only giving 9 pictures at the end of it, because 9 pictures, they're thoughtful and they tell the story, right? And we just do very thoughtful ways of, here was the issue, here was the damage it was causing, and now that we fixed it, now it looks like this again. Oh, by the way, here's a warranty certificate. Make them feel all warm and fuzzy. It's not our full terms and conditions, but it's just something for them to hold on to. And here's a marketing page that we built. So we own Red Dot Restoration as well. They do all the interior flood, fire, mold stuff. Epic does all the exterior stuff. Call us for anything. And so you can create these things that drive more work your way, but it's huge value to the homeowner, to the property manager, to the business owner. It makes you stand out like crazy. Like we get it to about 50% of our service work is from property managers, because they just keep sending stuff our way because we're transparent, we document things, we're professional. And that's the experience they want. They don't care if it's an extra $1,000 or $2,000. Like they just want the work done. They want to know that it's trusted, and yeah, it's easy. So, sorry, Elizabeth, you were going to say something there?
Yeah, I was going to say with property management companies, they're in charge of just making sure that everything is smooth. So when you're really leveraging your relationships with property management companies, I strongly suggest, if you're not working with property management companies, you get someone on your business development or your sales team to go in and really work on those relationships, because that's really one way to scale your company very fast. Two of my top recommendations: property management and home inspection companies. They are going to refer you so much work if you just have a good relationship with them and you reward them for and incentivize them to continue to do business with you, whether that's adding value, whether that's your referral program, whatever you're doing. Just make sure that you cultivate and reward the positive relationships that you're benefiting from. So that's also a reminder to you, Ryan. Send a thank you card to all your property management companies. I got you.
Totally. Yeah, no, totally. Well, and here, this, like, that's almost that. Somebody asked the other day on Facebook, are you sending gift cards, thank you cards? And I mean, those are all good things, and you should do something for it. Another one of the things we do, and so I'll show you this on a residential job, the project summary report concept, because again, you're giving them value. And so, and that's always my mindset in going through and creating this stuff. So here, hi homeowner, thanks for your opportunity to work in the home. Sounds like the work's done. I want to take a few minutes to show you the photos of the work we completed, right? Now that the work's done, it's also important for you to have easy access to all warranty information. Again, thanks for working with us, blah, blah, blah. Then we go through down here, we give them shingle brand, shingle type, shingle color. And by the way, this is the Canadian spelling of color. So it's not a typo, or maybe it is, but yes, that's the Canadian way. And then you're giving them some general warranty information, and you're giving them a link directly to where they can see their warranty information. So there's a whole ton of value we just gave them here, and a whole bunch of reasons for them to now hold on to this document forever. And they're holding on to your brand forever is what's really going on here, right? And this whole page was built off of a single template. In Sumo Quote, it's hello customer first name, and it automatically fills in. Literally the only thing I fill in on this page is the shingle color here, and that's it. And then you go through, and we always do a final audit on our jobs. So now we take the photos that we want to, we show the drip edge, we show all the new shingles on cantilevers and ledges, we give overviews, show all the new vents, everything else, all the protrusions. We show valley metal in our area. It's always valley metal. So we show the valley metal we installed. Then we give them that warranty certificate, another reason for them to hold on to our brand for a long time. And then we mention a referral program, and we draw them in. And the referrals that we get, this touch that nobody else does. And really all of this was one single template. How it works in our company, the receptionist at our front desk, she grabs these photos. Like, there's always our audit photos, but these are always standard audit photos that we take, these things. She just punches in the standardized text, and this is done. It literally takes her less than 5 minutes to build one of these, hands it over to the salesperson follows up, goes to get the referrals. Like, it's just that really nice professional touch at the end, and it drives so much additional business as you go.
Yeah, and it's all about that process. As long as everyone's job is outlined and they know what they have to do, it's easy to get the job done. It's when chaos only happens when there's not a system, when there's not control. So those are two big important things to have in your business. And that's why we really focus on the business process side of things as well, because you want to make sure from the moment you get a new lead or someone's even seeing your brand all the way till job completion, that there is a standardized system that you're following so that you can really quality control and see what you do need to optimize as you continue to grow. Because everyone wants to grow their business, but more customers means more people you got to keep happy. And that's really where quality control comes in as part of your process. And all of us here that are business owners, I think everyone here is a business owner, really understands that as you grow, there's always going to be growing pains, but having systems like Sumo Quote really can eliminate some of those headaches, because now you can onboard a salesperson easier, and it's easier to tell, you said your office admin was the one who sends out the final. Yeah. So it sends out the final project summary. That's just a really nice touch at the end of it. And now it's part of your system.
Totally. Yeah, no, exactly. And Elizabeth nailed it. And I mean, for us, it's the audit is a part of the system. The auditor on site has the checklist and grades every component, checks the nailing pattern, right? Like, checks all the flashing components, double checks everything, because we need to be able to stand by our warranty. We want to know that we're working with the right subs. Like, so everything is processed every step of the way with us with that stuff. So
I love it. Thank you so much. I always love hearing you talk about how Epic does things. You guys are really amazing.
well, it's we're gonna have to get you up to Canada here sometime. It'd be fun to have you pass the office and to see the operations, actually happening.
I would love that.
Yeah. Here, Michael asked a question just on pricing. So what I'm going to do, our pricing, where it was automatically calculating things and it was filling it in without the salesperson ever really needing to touch anything, back in configuration and in account settings here, I'm going to go into my price list. And in my price list, here's where I showed you before I could run the calculations. I could add these calculations so that my measurements, the raw data that I put in my measurements is automatically being converted all through these calculations with these line items. Right here, I can also edit, this line item. So I can, what's the name? What is the description that the homeowner is going to see? What's the unit type, material, labor, markup, all this stuff. So, the important distinction is always markup versus margin. So we're functioning off of markup here. For some people, if they don't want to get this complex, you can, get rid of these two and just put in under the material price, the full unit price of what you want to have it be. Or really within a job, if I go back to a job here, open for editing, quote details, I could go just, maybe it's tear down and dispose of shed. Maybe it's some random one that you never have a price list item for. You can just punch in, you can manually type in what you want the quantity and pricing to be on stuff as well. So yeah, lots of flexibility built into that stuff. Elizabeth, one of the other things I wanted to show, and this is one of the things, and I mentioned it, was we really focused as a roofing company on the homeowner and the experience they were getting, the value that we tried to create. We tried to think of unique value at every stage and how we could stand out from everybody else. And so we were really obsessing over that type of experience. One of the things that we've built and launched here recently, and this was partially just with COVID and all the craziness going on, was we basically built into Sumo Quote a customer portal. So I can see in this one, the homeowner's already been invited. So I'm going to click to go into their portal. So this is a space you could share with them. This is all feels customized to the homeowner. So it's their house that goes on the cover here. They've got the salesperson and customer name. You can show them photos of what's going on, either repairs or inspection. The rest of this homepage here, it really functions sort of like a landing page. So it could be a video on your company. If you don't have a video on your company, maybe it's a manufacturer video or something. You could have a welcome into
Have a
this
video
space.
on your company. You guys really should take the time to make one, because that's how your audience is going to connect with you. So 100%, if you don't have a video, it doesn't matter. Just get your phone out, get your ring light, get your lapel mic, and just make a video and talk about who you guys are, or hire someone locally. Just get something on there because people want to hear from you.
I mean, it's a perfect point. Humans want to buy from other humans. And with the degree that technology is being leveraged these days, we need to create ways so that we don't lose that human touch in it. And so all of these pieces, the video, if you can't sit down at their kitchen table for some reason, working hard, not just have a phone call, but an actual video conference meeting, which is all built directly into the portal here.
Yes.
So yeah, you want to make sure you're leveraging technology, but you're not losing the components that you need. So lots of image galleries you can include in here. Like, it's very customizable. Load in videos that you might want to show the homeowner, or the homeowner might want to look through, brochures, everything they could want in here. So it's a very sales centric space, right? It's all about giving them content, ways to trust you. Yeah, all of these things. Obviously, they can view and sign quotes in here. So easy to view a quote and walk through the whole thing, and it can just be e-signed directly in here. So that's all built in. I do want to say not everybody is going to be ready to start implementing a customer portal and running virtual meetings. And so we did build 2 levels of this. The first level is Pro in-home. The second level is Pro virtual. So the Pro in-home gives you this page where you can sit with an iPad in their house, Open this up and you've got your whole presentation center. You've got your showroom digitally created. And it's really impressive rather than dragging brochures around all over the place. And so you can walk through a custom built presentation, view and sign quotes, and you can have files where you can have brochures of anything you could possibly want to save or talk about. So it's all at your fingertips. If you want to try and take it to that next level and go that virtual route where this functions now as a portal that you can invite a homeowner into, then you would also get the chat, which is your back and forth Slack or Facebook Messenger type experience. And you can put videos in there and photos, and yeah, it's just the whole natural conversation that's going on. And that's where then you can also create meetings, and you can request meetings, and you can turn them into video meetings here. And it's all very simple. But I just wanted to sort of let you know, Sumo Quote proper billing quotes, that's your foundation. That's where people get in and start and really create these really polished professional presentations and start building out their price list and making it, you know, almost instantaneous and stuff. Getting into the pro in-home and the pro virtual, that's the next step. That's where if you really want to think scaling, you really want a professional in-home presentation or taking it virtual, that's where now you really start thinking customer experience and going to that next level out there.
Love it.
Sorry, go ahead, Elizabeth.
Oh, love it. Love it. Everything's awesome.
Well, I
And
was
if
just going to
anyone has any questions, please feel free to also comment. And you also, guys, if you want to book a one-on-one with Ryan, please don't forget you get to do that as well. Sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, you know, part of the reason, like, I had always wanted sort of a portal or a way to engage with the homeowner in a very different way than everybody else is, and something that's way more modern. And part of my thinking, it came about 3-4 years ago, but it was like the first week of December, and our doorbell was ringing like every night, and I just not had it like that before. And so I'm just like, oh man, like, you know, what is going on? Like, it's kind of triggered this, like, oh, this is different. Like, and of course, what's going on? Well, it's like Amazon or, you know, whoever we were ordering, but we did all of our Christmas shopping online that basically, rather than going into shops like we had years before. And so all these packages are being delivered, but it's this whole concept of, as contractors, we tend to always think, oh, I'm doing great because I'm better, you know, a bit better than the other guy. And we just look around at the other contractors around us. Homeowners don't see us that way. Homeowners really look at us, and they're now comparing us to the experiences they're getting from Amazon and from their bank. I haven't been in a bank in years. Like, I run it through an app. Why would I ever go in a bank, right? Grocery shopping. I got 3 young boys, 6 and under. There's no way I'm dragging them through the grocery store for an hour. Like, that's a nightmare. I can pay $3, have all of my groceries picked for me, and then walked out to my car when I drive up to the store. Like, why wouldn't I do that? It's all of these other industries around us are moving so fast, and they're innovating, and they're creating these experiences that are powerful and we all love. We can do these things.
Driven.
Yeah, this is where we need to start pushing into, and we need to do it at our comfort level, but we also, you know, it's tools like Sumo Quote here where we've worked hard on the design to make it feel easy and simple and natural. But there's some really powerful ways you can stand out and experiences you can create with this kind of stuff with just a little bit of extra thought. It doesn't need to be difficult to do it all. Sorry, Elizabeth, I interrupted you there again.
Oh no, I said what I had to say.
Oh, awesome. We got a question there. Will it hook up with QuickBooks? Funny you ask. QuickBooks integration, that'll be the next surprise that I drop on Elizabeth when we do a webinar together. So we are in the middle of working on our QuickBooks integration. It is with QuickBooks Online. QuickBooks Desktop, rumor has it from QuickBooks is they're actually looking to make QuickBooks Desktop obsolete. So they've stopped creating any new functionality, and they're just going to start jacking the price on it. So yeah, we're building that. That should be ready, I think, in the next 3 weeks, maybe 4 max. So yes, we've got that QuickBooks integration like immediately around the corner here.
Can you kind of tell everyone who doesn't know you yet, because I think it's you have a very unique story of, you know, having a 35 million a year roofing company and having an application and everything that you're doing. Can you just give everyone a quick snippet or maybe just some advice, something that you, from one roofing business owner of a very big company? There's a lot of people here in this meeting who are either startups or second generation. We have a couple of people who've been in business for a couple of years. We have, just because I know the people in here, a couple of them are subs looking to grow. What is a valuable piece of advice that you would give them? And I really want to hear this myself as well.
Well, yeah, I'll give two. And you touched on my history being a bit unique, but you've skipped the most unique part of it, right? That before really getting into roofing and owning the roofing company and stuff like that, I owned a denim line, a blue jeans company. So we manufactured in India. We sold mostly throughout the US, but into Australia and Europe. And I sold that company over to a company in Germany. It's running today still and stuff. But that's really where my head started getting around this whole concept of standing out in a very crowded space, right? Like fashion, it's so brand sensitive and it's so crowded, but you take a $2 t-shirt, you throw a logo on it, suddenly it's worth $50. But really it's interesting because roofing, it's kind of that same thing. Like there's very few barriers to entry. And so it's very difficult to stand out in a crowded space. So the stuff we did with denim and honestly, before that, when I was coming out of university, I was on the roof. I had the gun in the hand. I was a year and a half of shingling. And so I've got that practical experience. And then the sales and ownership side of the roofing company. But I would say the big thing, going through all of this, the one would be think about the homeowner, think about their experience, think about how to create unique value to them. The homeowner ultimately controls all of the purse strings on everything. Like that is your revenue. Sales is the lifeblood of any organization. So just obsess over the homeowner and the type of experience and what you do with them through every, like not just in sales, but production and every step along the way, right? So I'd say that's the one. The second one for business owners, and this is rarely talked about out there. We always talk about, sales, the sexy stuff. How do we sell more? How do we make more money? Lead gen. And these are always the questions. I would say the big one as business owners that is never talked about out there is, your banking, your financials, your banking relationships, how you've structured yourself with all of that stuff, because every single year there's so many companies, roofing companies that go to business, and it's typically all based because we haven't done a good enough job of setting up our banking well. And it almost nailed us at Epic. We grew like crazy through insurance events. And we had one insurance company in particular where what they said, and it was like $500 deductible, so it was nothing. And the insurance company said, as soon as a homeowner signs with you, we're going to send you the check. So we didn't have to worry about cash flow at all. And we got piles of work from this company, and they threw cash at us like crazy. Like it was, we had a safe in our office where there'd be like, okay, well, in the last 3 days, here's $1 million worth of checks just sitting there. Like it's nuts how it was working. But it almost destroyed us as a business, because when that insurance company said, oh yeah, we're not doing that anymore, we'll send you a check once it's been done. So now from a cash perspective, rather than being flush with cash at the beginning, we had to cash flow for 90 days, 120 days, whatever it was, to get through not just the roofing and the siding and the metals, but we had to get through the painting and the garage door and all of these other things before we got paid. Cash flow was a nightmare. And so the banking facilities that we got set up in place, like, and again, this is way off topic from just like, the stuff we were talking about here, but I can't stress enough how critical that stuff is, and just to be really well set up from a balance sheet and a banking perspective.
No, I think it's 100% great to hear that for everyone here today who's at different parts of their company, because finances is one of the biggest struggles in business. So this isn't this webinar and everything we do is just to try to add value to all of them. So I think your perspective is very well respected and appreciated. So thank you so much for sharing, Ryan.
Totally. Well, and we're at the top of the hour here. If there's any last minute questions, feel free to pop those in. We'll run a couple minutes over, but This has been great. I'm going to pull one thing out because I do have, and of course I don't have it at the, oh, I can log into it. I know where I'm going to go. Canva. I know it's sitting in there. And Elizabeth, I thought I had one with you here before. Here, this was one with Company Cam that we were planning to run. But here, the demo here, you can hit this for a free trial, you can hit this for a demo. So feel free to pull out your phone. And if you are interested in learning more on Sumo Quote, the free trial you can hit right there, free 14 days. I would strongly encourage everybody to book a demo because we can show you hands-on really practically and answer questions, and there's lots of content we can actually preload for you. So I would highly encourage you to book a demo as well and just get somebody to walk through 30, 45 minutes, walk through things and just make it really, really simple so that your setup is fast and you're not spending a month trying to get things together. We can make your life very easy for you. So I would strongly suggest hit one of these QR codes here. It's really easy with your phone app, with your camera app, and that's your best thing to learn more.
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions for me as well on how we can help you set up Sumo Quote, I know a lot of times the implementation scares you guys, but Sumo Quote is very easy to implement. And if you need some additional assistance, you have some support from Business 411. So the thing that should stop you from making a decision to get with Sumo Quote is whether you guys are ready to take the initiative to really solidify and streamline your sales process. It's always a yes or no, and the decision's in your hands. There's always different solutions for everything you guys are going through. Sumo Quote's the best one that I can provide for you guys at the time, which is why, I've been consistently trying to put them in front of you guys, because there's one thing that's going to change your business is you, and you making the right decisions, you using the right technology, you taking the right initiatives, and you guys are already doing that by being here today. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate you being here. We'll have another webinar coming up next week. I'm going to do better with my announcement schedules. I apologize, guys. I'm still, getting used to doing all these webinars, but we're setting up a separate channel on our website, and pretty soon these are going to be live streamed on our website as well as our Facebook channel, and we'll have it under roofing industry news specifically. So stay tuned for those updates, and we'll keep in touch with everyone. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Appreciate it. And everybody have great days, great weeks out there. All right. Take care.
Stay safe. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.